this is Levi, and I'm going to teach you how to clean your computer. First things first, let's go down the materials list. Actually, there's only two. First is a can of compressed air, or you can use a vacuum if you so desire. Second is a screwdriver. Now to open up the computer. So, looking on the back here, we can see these noticeable screws sticking out. Unscrew them and remove the panels. Now let's take a look on the inside of the computer. First off, we have the CPU underneath this heatsink. To the right of it, we have the RAM. Underneath, graphics card. And underneath that, the power supply. Over off to the right, we have a hard drive. And up on top, we have a DVD drive. Now we start unplugging the motherboard. So we start taking cables and unplugging it. So, of course, make sure to be gentle. Flipping to the back here, notice how the graphics card I pointed out earlier, as well as a wireless card, are connected still to the computer. Do not try to remove it, because if you remove the screw here, you'll notice that they are mounted in by screws. This is in order to prevent these cards from accidentally snapping off the motherboard and permanently damaging it. Remove these screws before removing the components. Now we can remove the graphics card and wireless card. There is a tab at the end of the PCIe slot, which is how the graphics card as well as the wireless card are connected into the motherboard. Press down on a little tab toward the end, and this will allow the card to pop out of place. Gently grab it and pull it out and set aside. Now that we have the graphics card removed, as well as the wireless card, it is time to unscrew the motherboard. So take your screwdriver and look for screws that hold in the motherboard. Now we can lift the motherboard out. Be sure to grab it by the edges, as this is very static sensitive, meaning static electricity can permanently damage your motherboard. So grab it by the edges in order to ensure that you will not damage your motherboard. And of course, set aside on a static-free surface, like a cardboard box. Now it is time to remove the RAM. On the side here, we can see two tabs. Press down on both of them, and this will lift the RAM out. Pull up gently, and set aside. And now we can begin the cleaning. Using your compressed air or vacuum, start spraying down parts of the motherboard. Now let's clean off the components we took off earlier, starting off with the graphics card. Let's just do a quick spray down of the top here. It's also a good idea here to get into the heat sinks of these machines, as dust tends to accumulate in them over time. Let's cut back to the case. So look for any intakes for your system. This is an intake for the power supply unit. So I'm going to remove this little protective film here. Piece. And man, that is dusty. So now let's take the dust, take your vacuum cleaner or compressed air, and let's clean it off. Once you're finished, make sure to replace the filter. Here is the primary intake for the computer. This is essentially how the computer breathes. This is where the air flows in. Now, over the years, this computer has accumulated lots of dust. So now we're going to take out the front panels so we can clean it. And man, look at the inside here. And of course, using your vacuum cleaner or compressed air, just remove all the dust. When you are finished dusting, make sure to reassemble. Now it's time to remove the remaining components, like the power supply, hard drive, and optical drive. Let's start off here with the power supply. On the back here, there are 4 screws that hold the power supply in place. Remove these. Then slide the power supply out. Of course, there's a lot of cables here because these cables are power cables that power every component within the computer. And carefully remove the scissors. Now we're going to remove the hard drive. In this case, it's a simple drive bay, so it just slides out for me. It may differ based on computer case. And now finally, we can remove the optical drive. Now it is time to clean out the case. Using your compressed air or vacuum, just go through and take out any big splotches of dust within the case. You can quickly just go ahead and spray this stuff down, remove any dust you have on the components. And there we go. Now the computer is completely cleaned out. Let's reassemble it.